Hey there, are you hungry? How does Brazilian food sound? How about arroz, feijão, frango e salada? Rice, beans, chicken, and salad. Does that sound good? Fantastic. Let me feed you. Okay, let's start with feijão, the beans first. They are going to take about 2 hours to cook, so we're going to start that first. I used about half a bag and it makes 4 to 5 servings. To my beans, I've added about an inch and a half of water to the beans and the water, just a little bit of oregano, salt. Do not forget the salt. Beans, or really food without salt, tastes gross. About that much salt. Some of the magic is cumin, and it's about, oh, that much. One bay leaf. Let's see, do we have any bay leaves yet, friends? A little piece of a bay leaf. And some chili powder. About that much. We stir this. We're going to cook this on low, covered, for about 2 hours, checking every 30 minutes. See you then. While the beans are cooking, let's prepare the salsa. Yes, just like a basic pico de gallo. We're going to need tomatoes, cilantro, lemon, onion, and salt. Chop everything up and dump it in a bowl. I'm chopping about 1/4 of a medium brown onion, and I do the rough chop. I do not have fantastic knife skills, so forgive me. And you want to chop extra for the beans, so you only have to chop a bunch of items once. I firmly believe in working smarter, not harder. So again, it's a rough chop, really diced, and we'll need maybe half of this for the salsa, or 3/4 of this, and then the rest for the beans. Next is the cilantro, same thing. Rough chop. If you don't like cilantro, or cilantro tastes like soap to you, omit it. No one will know. Do you? I like the rough chop. We can go one more time. Right? Looks pretty good. Add half of this to the onions for the salsa.
Next are tomatoes. I'm using Roma tomatoes, but you can use whatever tomatoes you like. And I prefer mine a little chunky, right? Nothing wrong with some chunks. So I just like to dice these up.
And add them to the cilantro and onions. Now we've filled it with our tomatoes, and it's time to add our lemon. Remember, it's about half a lemon, and you put it in face down, booty up, and squeeze till your heart's content. Make sure you get every drop. And then to that, we add salt. About enough. We're going to stir this together and then let it marinate. Let those juices really get married. Have a good time. And then by the time it's done marinating and becoming friends, the beans will be ready. See you in a bit. This is what it looks like all stirred together. I'm going to cover this and put it in the fridge. Now that our salsa is finished, let's make arroz. I have here 1.5 cups of washed, just normal, regular, long grain rice. If you want to step your game up, you can use jasmine rice, which would make it freaking delicious. But I digress. 1.5 cups long grain rice, and here are about 2.5 cloves of fresh minced garlic. If you use garlic, do you? And then to this, we're going to do about 1/4 cup of diced onions. Once you've diced your onions and added it to the garlic, heat a medium-sized pan and add about 1/4 cup of oil, just a neutral oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, avocado, whatever you'd like. You're going to stir the rice in here, so it needs to be a deep pan. So we'll start with the oil and make sure it gets around. Make sure it's nice and warm. And then we're going to add the garlic and onions. This is going to cook really quickly. Garlic burns fast, so make sure you keep everything moving around. And you're going to cook just until fragrant. If you really like the really garlicky Brazilian rice, you can add some garlic powder, not garlic salt, but garlic powder. And we like it like that, so I'm going to add just a few shakes of garlic powder, right? We're going to stir this around. It's becoming really fragrant, smelling delicious in here. Maybe cook for another 15 to 30 seconds, constantly stirring. Don't stop stirring. That looks and smells good. Now we add the rice. And we're going to stir this and get all of that delicious oil, garlic, and onions onto the rice. Carefully. And we're not trying to cook the rice at this point. We are just flavoring the rice with all of this goodness. And this you'll do for about a minute. Literally, that's it. While everyone's becoming friends, add salt. Stir again. Okay. Everything to me looks well incorporated. Now we'll just add this to a rice cooker, or you can cook it right here in the pan. I prefer rice cooker so I don't have to micromanage it. Alrighty, let's make some chicken. We're going to start with 2 breasts. That's all that we need. And we're going to cut these girls in half, right? Fantastic. Don't worry if they're not exactly even. Totally fine. And then we season. I'm going to use some Chef Merito. Season, season, season. Black pepper. Get this one. That's a big one. Out of the way. And just a little bit of Tony Chattery. Just a little bit. Flip. Season the other side as well. I'm getting seasoning everywhere. All right. Repeat. Should have used a bigger cutting board. Let's cook these girls up. To this pan, and this is the same pan that we sauteed the rice in. I just put the rice in the rice cooker. Do not clean the pan. You need all that goodness still in the pan. We're going to add some oil. Remember, make sure all of it is coated. And now we're going to place the chicken in our pan. Might be a tight squeeze, but that's all right. Okay, once the chicken is finished, set aside. And we're going to knead this pan one more time. Okay, let's finish up the beans. Remember the cilantro and onions that we used when we were making salsa? I've added 2 cloves of fresh minced garlic to that. We're going to dump that in this pan. If you're making this for vegetarian or vegan friends, just clean the pan or use a different pan. It's totally fine. That and a little bit more oil, because this is the chicken pan, if needed. And we're going to saute this again, super quick, until fragrant. And to this, and this is what makes Brazilian feijão delicious, we're going to add some of these beans and smash them. So let's do about half a cup. It's going to thicken the beans and give it an out of this world taste. And I have it on low because we're not trying to cook because the beans are done. We're just now trying to help the flavors get married, if you will. Right? Once we've done that, we're going to add this paste to these beans. Let's see if we can get you in here. Every bit. Do not leave out the fond, and that's that deliciousness, the bottom of the pan. Get all this goodness. Cook this for another 5 minutes, and we'll be ready to eat. Here's the end result, friends. Doesn't it look delicious? We have our arroz, feijão, frango, salada, and salsa. Let's give it a taste. First bite goes to you. Next bite to me. So good. This dish reminds me of my childhood. I was blessed to be raised, my siblings and I, by a phenomenal Brazilian mother. We would eat this all the time. I think Brazilians invented the struggle meal before it was a thing. And just so you know, all this cost about 20 bucks to make. Do you have memories from your childhood, a favorite dish or favorite time? Are there certain foods that bring back positive memories? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for joining me, and let's eat.